Let's talk about what we're going to see today. 2 hearings scheduled for today, 4 witnesses in total. We'll be on the air a little longer this morning to get into the first one at 9 o'clock Eastern time with 2 officials who were on the phone call that sparked the formal impeachment inquiry. Top Ukraine expert on the National Security Council, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, and top Russia aide to Vice President Mike Pence, Jennifer Williams. Both officials are expected to challenge President Trump's claim that his July 25th phone call with the president of Ukraine was, quote, perfect. Williams characterized it as politically motivated, unusual, and inappropriate. Vindman said he was so concerned that the call would undermine national security, he reported it to the NSC's top lawyer. The president has attacked both witnesses without any evidence as never Trumpers. But as we mentioned, the latest attack on Vindman, a decorated Army officer, is coming from Republican Senator Ron Johnson. In a letter to Jim Jordan and Devin Nunes dated yesterday, Senator Johnson writes this: a significant number of bureaucrats and staff members within the executive branch have never accepted President Trump as legitimate and resent his unorthodox style and his intrusion onto their turf. They react by leaking to the press and participating in the ongoing effort to sabotage his policies and, if possible, remove him from office. It is entirely possible that Vindman fits this profile written by Senator Johnson.
Wow. That is just so offensive. I mean, so offensive. Our former party, our former Republican Party. Can you believe that he is this Wisconsin senator, this Republican senator from Wisconsin, is smearing a lieutenant colonel who came to this country. From the Soviet Union, I think?
Yep.
Family escaped the Soviet Union, has served honorably in our military. His son served honorably in our military, and an Iraqi war hero. So this is. I mean, let's just stop. Let's just stop at this moment. At this moment, what's today? It's November 19th, 2019 at 6:16 a.m. on the East Coast. Let's just stop at this moment. We've wondered how low the Republican Party would go, Elise, our former party would go to defend Donald Trump. And I think we're getting close here. We have a senator from Wisconsin who is smearing an Iraqi war veteran, an Iraqi war hero who won a Purple Heart. That's how low we've gotten today.
An Iraq war hero who was so distinguished at his job that he was detailed to the National Security Council as a subject matter expert. Let's keep in mind the men and women who end up at the National Security Council from the various agencies, as so many Republicans are defaming them as part of the, quote, deep state. It is prestigious. It is difficult. It is the pinnacle of a career in service to serve at the National Security Council, to be on the vice president's staff as a national security advisor. These people are really well established and have strong credentials to even be in these positions. And yes, you see where it doesn't matter what your service to your country has been. You can be literally wounded in battle.
Right.
And yet you are suddenly, if you don't fall in line with the cult, you are a traitor.
But this gets to what Guy was just speaking to. The rest of the Republican Party, the rest of the Republican members of the United States Senate.
Yeah.
We have Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. When he appears today in uniform, at the top of his chest, there's a combat infantry badge that he wears. That's the ultimate that you get if you're in service to the country, because it means you risked taking a bullet for your country. You risked your life for your country, which he did. And now Senator Johnson from Wisconsin speaking the way he's speaking about him, maligning him, smearing him. Where are the rest of the Republicans in the Senate to stand up? I mean, all of this talk, when you speak to them, Joe, you know this as well as anyone.
Yeah.
Off the record, they say, oh, this guy's an embarrassment. He's terrible. Speak up. Well, speak loudly.
And they can't do it now. But of course they can't do it now, because remember, Donald Trump, a guy that got how many? 5 deferments? Guy who claimed his daddy took him to a VIP doctor, to get him a Bone Spurs deferment. And on the day that Donald Trump graduated from his Ivy League college, I think it was 40 young Americans died while this guy was playing tennis and golf and chasing women during college. And he and his Republican sycophants spent 2 years attacking a man who guided us through 9/11, his FBI director, a man whose knees were bad, so bad that he actually, unlike Donald Trump, who was working to get out of it, he actually had to rehab himself so he could go fight in Vietnam. A guy who was a war hero in Vietnam and did remarkable things on the battlefield and was awarded medals for that honor. I mean, this is the new Republican Party. You smear and slander the best among us. You smear and slander American heroes. You smear and slander Gold Star mothers. You smear and slander all those that have given their all to this country, all in the defense of a man who spent most of his life giving to Democrats, to Hillary Clinton 8 times, I mean, I could go down the list. Anthony Weiner, Elliot Spitzer. It goes on and on and on. This is really who they're selling their soul for. I'll never understand it. Now they're smearing American war heroes that, by the way, went to a war that they voted for,
right,
that they pushed America into.
No, I think the big picture is also what you raised, and we need to stop at this moment and look at the fact that these people have said, don't believe anybody that says anything against Donald Trump. We realize, you and I that have fought out here in the public space for a while, you're going to have people oppose you. So don't listen to an Al Sharpton. He's a black activist. He's got to have an angle. There's got to be something in it for him. Don't listen to Charles Scarborough. He comes from the South, and they think different there. But now you have a war hero with a Purple Heart who did everything you said is right, and you malign him. Yeah. So at what point does Americans start saying, wait a minute, you're saying anybody that disagrees with you should not be heard. Anybody, no matter how many medals they have on their chest, no matter how much they've served this country, if they disagree with you, they are whatever you want to call them, all on behalf of a guy who you and I grew up knowing of Pentecostal churches who have miraculous body spurs that grew him 10 inches.
10 inches, yeah.
That grew him at least 2 inches, according to the last medical examination. These are miracle bone spurs that just grow as he sits in that seat. Yeah. And if you don't believe it, you turn on today and watch the hearings as they talk about how this man can make deals and can risk national security, but he did it for your own good. Yeah. Now send $1 to my PayPal account. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're dealing with. We've seen rogues like this before, you and I, Joe.
Oh, yeah, no, we have. And it is amazing how these Republicans in 2019, everything is defined around what Donald Trump says it is. They were a party of balanced budgets. No more. Now the party of the biggest national debt in the history of the Republic. They were the party of free trade. No more. Now they're the party of tariffs. They were the party that opposed socialism. No more. Now they're applauding as Donald Trump is giving agricultural industrial interests $16 billion, and he's taxing middle-class Americans with tariffs. I mean, we used to fight against Russian aggression. No more. Oh, you invaded Ukraine? Pick the rest of it. That's what Donald Trump's saying. It's not even a real country. These are the sort of things no Republican would ever allow a Democrat to say such a thing. I was on the Armed Services Committee, appointed 4 terms. If I heard one Democrat, if anybody heard one Democrat say that over those 4 terms, they would have been eviscerated and driven from Congress. Now, Donald Trump says it. Republicans are fine with it. That settles it.
And that's just the conservative hypocrisy. How about the fact that there's a white nationalist in Stephen Miller sitting at the hand of the president? Not a peep from Republicans about that, even after we saw 900 emails proving that. The thing I come back to with all these guys is what are you getting out of the deal? Like, what is Ron Johnson getting out of putting his credibility and his reputation out there to slur this man, this Colonel Vindman, who's won a Purple Heart in Iraq? What do you get out of it? He's not up for re-election until 2022.
No.
Is it because he wants to help President Trump win Wisconsin? He knows it, but what's the deal? Do you think if you hang in long enough, you will be the first person that Donald Trump is loyal to? That you will finally be the one that gets something out of the deal? No one ever gets anything out of the deal. You get pushed under the bus. Mike Pompeo's finding that out this morning. Everybody learns eventually that you try to please the master. Eventually, he pushes you away. You get nothing out of the deal except giving up all your credibility.
No one ever has.
Ever. Well, still ahead on Morning Joe, that story about Mike Pompeo claims he supports men and women of the State Department. Marie Yovanovitch, among others, would disagree. That story just ahead. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.